Have you been in a situation where you are in the middle of a coup and there seems to be no way out, no matter where you turn or who you go to? Are you going through challenges right now where it feels like your enemies have finally got you and there is nothing you can do about it? To an observer, it might look like the end of the road for you, but do not worry. God is only keeping them in suspense. He is planning something big for you and keeping the best for the last. When your enemies think they finally have you, God will show up in the most surprising way ever. With the evil that has now become a new normal in our world, it is almost impossible to live without having enemies. The Bible tells us that as much as we have chosen to be numbered with Christ's people, we have declared enmity with the world. Apart from that, people will always find one reason or the other to find fault in you. Inasmuch as the Bible tells us to live peacefully with all men, there will be people planning against you and wishing your downfall. It could be a result of jealousy or plain wickedness. Jeremiah 17 verse 9 says the heart is deceitful above all things, and it is exceedingly perverse and corrupt and severely mortally sick. Who can know it, perceive, understand, be acquainted with his own heart and mind? Even people you think are your friends and people who smile at you might be rooting for your destruction. It may be in your community, at your place of work, even in ministry among people you call friends and fellow laborers. And it could be in your family as well. There is no limit to the location and environment where you can have enemies. Daniel had people plotting against him in a strange land, while in the case of Joseph, it was his kin and blood that were against him. Since you do not know the intent of their heart, it might seem easier to fall into the traps they set. But you have no reason to fear, because God, who sees and knows all things, will deliver you and rescue you from their evil plans. You could become a subject of envy anywhere. Your possession does not matter, and neither does your position. People can plot against you just because you are good. It is enough reason for some to try and get at you. The smile you have on your face, the confidence with which you take on problems and challenges, the optimism and hope you carry with you is enough to get on some people's nerves. The fact that you are joyful despite the circumstances that surround you is a pain to them, and from time immemorial, we see that just being a child of God is enough reason to have enemies. But what does the Bible say? Matthew 5 verse 10 through 11 says, "Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." 11. Blessed are you when they revile and persecute you, and say all kinds of evil against you falsely for my sake. Jesus goes farther to say that your reward is great in heaven. Let them plan, let them plot against you, let them bring in their best strategy, and it still would not work against you, because you are God's chosen, the apple of his eye. Would God just sit and let anything happen to his beloved, the one he has purchased with his blood? Impossible. Never. It might look as if they are winning at first, but they are actually playing to God's tune. They are working according to God's plan. So just relax and watch how God's plan unfolds in your life. Also, watch how your enemies and those that are plotting your downfall will be put to shame. Psalms 2, verse 1 through 2. Why do the nations rage and the people plot a vain thing? 2. The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed. Just imagine this. If they could plot against God and his anointed, how much more would they do to you? According to the words of Jesus, a servant is not above his master. In essence, if they had schemed to get at Jesus, they would also have plans against you, his follower. Does that make you scared? No, it should not. Psalm 2, verse 4 through 5 says, "He who sits in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall hold them in derision." 5. Then he shall speak to them in his wrath and distress them in his deep displeasure. The Lord is not blind to your predicament. He sees what those people are doing to you. He sees their mocking and their threats. He knows the plans they are making secretly to bring you down. And he is laughing at their folly because they are only being instruments to your greatness. The steps of a righteous man are ordered by the Lord. Even when the wicked have set traps for you, the Lord will carry you across as long as you make his word light to your path and a lamp to your feet. The truth is you can never be too careful in life. No matter the precautions and care you put into avoiding some problems, they cannot be helped. You can only trust God to keep you safe and deliver you from all evil. God is a master planner. He knows the end from the beginning and the beginning from the end. In making plans for your life, he has made provision for every possibility, including the interference of your enemies. He has factored in even the mistakes that you might make in taking certain decisions as an individual. In the case of your enemies, instead of seeing their work as interference, he plans it in such a way that he uses your enemies as a tool to bring you to the place he has destined for your life. Look at the life of Jesus. All through his ministries, he was faced with the Pharisees and Sadducees, and some other people did not believe in him or his teachings. They did not stop at unbelief, but went further to get him in various ways. They were observing every little thing he did just to catch him in a lie or find fault in him. His speech, his acts, his motives, his ways, everything was put under scrutiny just so they could bring him down. And they did their best to kill him, but could not until the time appointed. In his death, they thought they had triumphed and they had seen his end. Little did they know they were only an instrument to achieving God's plan of redemption, because if they had known, they would not have crucified Jesus Christ. 1 Corinthians 2, verse 8 through 9, which none of the rulers of this age knew, for had they known, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. 9. But as it is written, eyes has not seen, nor ears heard, nor have entered into the heart of man that things which God has prepared for those who love him. The things God has in stock for you are immeasurable and cannot be quantified. He plans with a big picture in sight. His plans are for eternity. Your enemies are only looking at the present and using that to judge you. They may have succeeded in getting you out of a job or in defaming you, among others, but they do not have the final say. God will use that loss to open bigger doors of opportunity for you. Perhaps you are not meant to be in that position and need a kind of nudge to push you to a higher position. That nudge can come in the forms of disappointment or a loss. Do not become discouraged, because God is using those things to take you to a higher position in life. Joseph had a dream and revealed it to his family, but it only created enmity between him and his brothers. When he innocently ran errands for his father to check their welfare, they plotted to kill him, but ended up selling him into slavery. They thought they had seen his end and had him out of the way for good. They did not realize that they had only pushed him into achieving the plans and purposes of God for his life. People might think that their thoughts over your life have come to pass. They might rejoice over your sorrows, pain, and loss. But do not be dismayed, because God is planning a surprise. He will make you come out bigger and stronger than you have ever been. He will shut the mouth of the enemies, and they will marvel at the wonder that God makes out of your life. Keep in mind that all things work together for good to those that love God and are called according to his purposes. All things, including the plans of the devil and his agents. Nobody has the right to touch you unless the Lord permits it. And if he permits it, it means he has something big planned for you. You will reach the heights that God has destined for you and enter into your greatness. All those mocking you now will join you to rejoice later on. Have no fear and do not be anxious about anything. God has great plans for you, and nothing will stop those plans from being achieved. Step into your greatness and celebrate. Nobody can keep you down. You are untouchable and you are unstoppable.